Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. You are looking live at the NFL show for Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. It is our opening line show where we take that new, fresh look heading into week 4. We had an awesome party last night for Monday Night Football between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, look, I didn't win any money on the game, but certainly a lot of people tuned in, and that is good enough for me. Today, an action-packed show. You guys know what we do here. We are going to take that fresh look at week 4, but also we love to have guests on the show, and we certainly do have a good one today. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Larry from WagerWeb, and also my co-host, Kyle Purviance. We are here with sportsbookreview.com, and before we get going today, thank you guys once again. 69,600 people have hit that button to subscribe, turned on their notifications, and came in here to the chat box to say hello. Sean, what's up? The sports group, everybody in here. We're going to have a great show, but it's time to kick it off. Larry, before we bring you in, Kyle, it's week 4. Hey, lines are open, buddy.
Lines are open. We're ready to rock. A little bit of apprehensive news this morning. We're waiting to see how that all folds out, but you know, you start going through, you see a couple of games that look like college football lines, you know, in Baltimore and Washington and LA and the Giants. And I would be remiss if I didn't kick off the show by wishing a very happy birthday to our wonderful host, Donnie. You look wonderful. Tell everyone in the chat box, tell him how good he looks for 83. He looks amazing for 83 years old. So a big happy birthday to you. But no, I'm excited for week 4. It was a fun night last night. What, 15,000 people ended up watching that show already? Right. Absolutely incredible. So a big thank you to all of you, and thank you to the guys behind the scenes. And I'm really excited to have Larry on, get the odds maker's perspective, which is something we're both excited to have on the show.
Yep, our newest friend of the show here, Larry from WagerWeb. Larry, welcome into the show. We got a lot of stuff to go over, some interesting things. But before we do that, introduce yourself to the good people here in the chat box.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate the time. It's a pleasure being with you. I'm a rookie at this, so be kind to me today. But, yeah, I'm a sales manager here at WagerWeb.eu. Been with them now about 12 years and happy to take care of my customers. We got some great bonuses here available to all customers, whether new or old, anywhere from 10% to 100% cash. So, guys, I'm ready to help you guys out in any way I can.
You know what's great about this, Larry? You've been on for 1 minute, and you're already better than my co-host Kyle Purviance over there. So,
that's how you
kudos. We always like to have some fun on the show, but it's great to have you on here. Of course, guys, if you haven't done so yet, check out WagerWeb. We'll get into some of the promos before Larry gets out of here, but some fun stuff from over the weekend. We always like to get the book's perspective because me and Kyle will argue all week long, and we'll have other guests on to break down games, but we always like a perspective from the opposite side of the counter for what's going on. Just looking overall at Sunday, you know, seeing some of the numbers coming in, there were some big wins and obviously some big losses out there. But even if you want to talk about last Monday night, which was yesterday, I got to admit, I was wrong. I was on the Baltimore Ravens, but I could expect probably a huge handle on that game. And everybody hung on to the last seconds to see if that total was going to come in, Larry, because we opened it around 52 offshore. We ended around that 55 range, and there it was last night. The odds makers had it right. What did you see last night, and what were you guys looking at there, Larry?
Well, thank God for the missed extra point and field goal.
Yes.
That helped a lot. But, man, anytime you see the Chiefs as an underdog, just one of those things, man. It was a tough night. I didn't sleep very well last night either. It was a tough night. Thank God that it stayed under. But, man, the Chiefs were just so dominant. And hopefully we don't see the Chiefs as a dog anymore for the rest of the season, man.
I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, we watched the game live, Kyle and myself, and, you know, Kyle had the right side of it there with Kansas City because, you know, the people out there watching, even if you're just a general football fan, you scratch your head, wait a second here. I'm going to get Patrick Mahomes at over a field goal. Sign me up for that. And I'll say, you know, I thought Baltimore would come out, be ready to go and really stamp their mark on this game and be physical. But you saw Patrick Mahomes, the touchdown to McCole Hardman before the half, on his back foot, 50-yard laser down the field, and you shake your head and say, that pass is not only supposed to be a sack or maybe a turnover, definitely an incompletion, but a clear touchdown, Larry. It was amazing to watch last night, and I know from being on, again, that side of the counter, Patrick Mahomes, again, he's so hard to comprehend. Forget about covering. How do you even beat the guy, right?
You know, watching an underhand 1-yard pass to a fullback for a touchdown, he's taking that defense apart. And, you know, when we saw that line come out, you know, a lot of people were thinking, you know, Baltimore had a really good chance, and we had a lot of on the Baltimore side. But, man, at the end of the day, started with Green Bay on Sunday, a lot of action with Green Bay going into Sunday, and then Kansas City on Monday night. I mean, Sunday was really good until those last two games, and that's part of the business. I mean, I'm serious. I hope we never see the Chiefs as a dog again, man, because man, there's nothing to do to stop this guy. He's just they're two great quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Those are the two best, but one outshone the other last night.
Yeah, and that damn missed extra point. I'm glad it worked out for you, Larry, but it did not work out for me.
You have
54 and a half is where I was at. The over 54 and a half, so that mixed extra point made me look a little dumber than I normally do. I mean, which is,
Thank God for that, man. It could have been a little bit worse than it was, but hey, got this week coming up, so let's see what happens.
No, you're exactly right. And even coming down right to the end, like we were saying, if maybe Big Red was going to kick that field goal at the end of the game, Mahomes ended up throwing a pass, and then you take a knee from the Baltimore Ravens. So the sweat began early in that game and continued right through the end. And I guess you could say that's the fun of gambling. But yes, some people need a lot of Tums and Pepto-Bismol by the time that those games end.
You would
but
not
week
believe the teasers on the Chiefs.
Tease it up over a touchdown. Where do you lose? And teasing the over. So it's a lot of good stuff to watch. And you brought up again that Sunday Night Football game, Packers and the Saints. I'm sure people were angling for that total on the over as well, 37-30 final in that one. But we got a big week 4 here coming up, Larry, especially, just looking over some of the early lines. And Kyle, I know you have an interesting question here because a lot of us were looking early on ESPN, some of the early reports online, maybe some COVID issues for the Tennessee Titans at the wrong time. 3-0 Tennessee Titans. This is the last time you want to have that, but go ahead, Kyle, and expound on, some of your thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, and we don't want to get Larry to commit too much because he's still got to figure out what's happening, right? It's early in the week, but and we sort of touched on this before the show, but when you have something like this happen, what's the typical thing that happens when you have games that, they're talking maybe it could move to Monday night? Right now, it looks like they're going to force them to play. It looks like Minnesota, no players have tested positive there. They're all fine on the Pittsburgh side. So it's just the 3 players from Tennessee and the 5 staff members. Neither one of those teams allowed to practice all week. They're not even allowed to go to their facility. So does that change things from an odds maker's perspective? What kind of stuff do you?
It's got to, like we were talking earlier. This is a first. We're not used to seeing these issues, but when you're looking at they're going to have one walkthrough before the game, I would think that odds makers are going to be saying, "What do we do here?" Because hey, it's tough. You got these players that aren't going to practice. They're going to have one walkthrough, and then go play on Sunday. So we're crossing our fingers. Like I told you guys earlier before, if they do set it for another date, then we know what's going to happen there. But right now, we're just hoping that that's just the only players that tested, and hopefully we get a good game out of them on Sunday. But I worry. I mean, look at all the injuries week 1 with no preseason games. That here are these guys that aren't going to be warmed up. They're just going to have one walkthrough, and then they got to go out there and play. So it's going to be a difficult thing for both those teams.
Yeah, definitely a battle of attrition out here. Even looking at, sometimes we get spoiled with good football games, what we think are going to be good football games, like Monday Night Football, Larry. And then we look ahead and say, you know what? I can't wait for NFL football. Who's on Thursday night? And you say, hey, by the way, it's the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets, Sam Darnold. And it looks like Brian Rippon's going to step in at quarterback. Correct. And now you see some of the lines changing. They're dropping lower. Talk about, and the angle I wanted to pursue here was sometimes teams are so bad, and from an odds maker's perspective is almost the line can't be too high for a bad team going up against a good team. But in this one, you have 2 bad teams coming into Thursday Night Football, which is already a sloppy game. Talk about maybe what you might be looking at between the Broncos and the Jets. I mean, you're still going to get a great betting handle because it's the NFL and it's Thursday night, but boy, oh boy, looking at that game.
Yeah, I think total was 40. It's the lowest total of all games in week 4. I think nowadays we're lucky, especially here, WagerWeb. I've seen this happen a lot where you got a game like this, but then once the game starts, you got a large majority of players that are going to go into live betting platform, and they're going to be doing their live betting the whole game. They got their bet going, but they're going to go in there and live bet, and hopefully that overcompensates for the line that we had for the beginning of the game, and that's a great revenue for us now, the live betting platform. And, in the past, players didn't have that choice. Nowadays, when you got a game like this, you're hoping that once the game starts, these guys go in there and start going wacky on all these lines are going to come up and down as the game is going on. So hopefully it helps out a little bit. But yeah, that 40 total and the line, it's just crazy. And you got probably the worst team in the NFL right now. Sorry, Jet fans. And, a team starting a quarterback for the first time. I think his uncle was Ryan Ripken, if I'm not mistaken.
Mark Ripken, yes,
yeah.
From Washington.
So he's got a little of that quarterback blood in it, but it should be interesting. I don't know how the numbers are going to come in for Thursday night on this game, but hopefully it works out and live wagering helps out with this issue.
I mean, we don't go live on Thursday night. Thank goodness we don't. It's only Monday night, so usually we get a little bit better game. But, go ahead, Kyle, with the question that you have.
Oh, sorry. I was just kind of piggybacking off of that. We talked about this horrible game right on Thursday that's going to be tough to sort of get people attracted to. And I think being Thursday night certainly helps. But is there a game this weekend where you're like, okay, this is where everyone's playing this game this weekend? Is there one game where you expect more wagers than maybe some of the other games this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what, this New England-Kansas City game, New England, where the line opened up and where the line is now, anytime in the past when you had New England, you had Brady, the money was always there. Now it's a little bit different, but I think after what Kansas City did last night, I'm seeing how the line moved on that New England game, and I think that's one of the games that's going to have a lot of action. And the other one that I think is going to have a lot of action too is, man, I don't know what it is, but these Packers, they're just attracting a lot of attention. You got the #1 offense in the NFL, and I think the line will definitely move a little bit more, but a lot of interest in the Packers and a lot of interest in the Chiefs already. It's only Tuesday, but right now that's what I'm basically seeing. And of course, Dallas always is going to have a lot of attention.
Right.
They have a must-win this weekend, playing Cleveland. So those three teams always attract a lot of attention. But, man, Kansas City, after that win yesterday, I think what everyone thinks is that they're not going to lose, and they most likely will cover for the rest of the year. So, I think New England, Kansas City is a great game as far as, book side.
Larry, quick question on this. When we take a look at, betting into week 4s, we've seen a lot of scoring here in the NFL, particularly this year. Now, again, it might be some of the way that the refs are officiating, a lot less holding penalties, which is great because more offense means more fantasy. And obviously people like to take overs, but also the book is going to adjust. It wasn't so long ago that even if we talk like NBA, where you had totals around 178, 180, and oh my goodness, did you see that total? It's 195. They're routinely in the 210s, 215s, 220 range. Right. Same thing in the NFL. I mean, we're looking at Monday night football right now, a 58 number, which a decade ago you'd say we'll never see this again in our lifetime. Might seem like a routine here. Talk about from your perspective here when you're looking to look at some of these lines, 52s, 50s, 47s. They're just routine numbers right now in the industry.
Yeah. And what happens there too is you see a lot of teasing with these totals like we did last week. And we'll look at Green Bay. I mean, that total, when you look, the lowest total for the week is 40, and then you're looking at 58 and a half on the other end. It's just a crazy first 3 weeks of NFL football going into the 4th. And I think, from my perspective, I usually don't deal so much with that, but I think a lot of it has to do with, man, no stadiums, 20% full stadiums. What are we going to do? How are we going to figure this out? And I think by the end of, maybe by the 8th or 9th game, we're going to see these totals going down a little bit. But right now, just like this Kansas City game, man, I was seeing teasers at 45 and 44, and I was saying, oh my God, this is crazy. Something like Green Bay, I think their total for last week was very high also, and they're playing an Atlanta team that knows how to score, but they just don't know how to win. They don't know how to hold their when they're up 2 or 3 touchdowns. They don't know what to do, and they're running into #1 offense in the NFL. So hey, I assume that those points like that, but I'm sure my bosses and those guys up there in the big offices are probably going crazy right now with all these high totals.
I mean, fantastic stuff so far. I mean, this is the way we like to start off a Tuesday, getting some perspective from a bookmaking perspective. Both me and Kyle love this type of stuff. Larry, for your first, are you sure, Larry, this was your first time on the air? Because you seem like a seasoned professional.
Let me tell you something. I haven't slept for 2 days. I've been reading every type of article I can.
Oh, you did great.
In the meantime, trying to, bring in new customers and get guys to deposit. So it's been tough. I love sports, so this is a great job for me. I'm not so much on the odds making side or handicapping, but I follow sports, so it's very simple to get involved and some things I do know, and if I don't know, I'll more or less tell you guys. Let's go to another question. But yeah, man, I love this business, and I love looking at these lines move and trying to see what's going on, man. It's just great. I wish I could do it 24/7 and not have to worry about being a sales guy. But hey, sales first, odds second.
You got it, man. By the way, Larry, one more time before we get you out of here, tell the good people out there what they can find at WagerWeb, some good bonuses, some good play, obviously a quick, fast interface that you guys have. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about WagerWeb.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it, man. WagerWeb.eu. We have great cash bonuses, including weekly rebates on sports volume. So you take a 20 or a 10% cash bonus, we're going to give you 1% back every week on your sports volume. And hey, so players like that 100% cash, we offer that also. We offer a great live betting platform, a great customer service, a great payout 7 days a week. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in a highly rated book, we've been around over 20 years. Please give WagerWeb.eu a look. My name is Larry. You can reach me at the numbers are on the website, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys. And I appreciate you guys giving me the time.
Awesome, Larry. I can guarantee you'll be back on this show if you would like to come back on and hang out with both myself and Kyle. But fantastic stuff, Larry. Thanks again. Guys, Larry from WagerWeb. Check out the website. Quick, fast interface, great pass, and you see great bonuses as well. Larry, thanks again for your time.
Thanks,
today.
guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. Great.
There we go. Larry from WagerWeb. Kyle, look at that. We're smarter just by association today, right?
They already love him in the chat box, too. How often do we see that? He's getting nicer comments than I've gotten in 4 weeks, So great job by Larry. No,
I mean, here's what's going to happen in like 2 weeks. It's going to be, hey, I'm Donnie. Welcome to the show. Larry's my co-host, and Kyle's going to be maybe in the chat box making comments at that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It'll be after one of those Monday night shows, and there you go. I'll be on the sidelines looking in my pajama pants. That's how it's going to be.
Look at that. Yeah, Stephanie Winters. I love Larry. Casey Kroll. Larry added value to the show. Good guess. See, that can't be his first time, right?
That's what I said. He did great. No, he did great. Great perspective. So that was a lot of fun for us. We've been wanting that odds maker perspective on the show. So that was really cool to get Larry in here. So he'll be back.
No, that's great. Yep, we do. Let's get down to some business here. Now, look, we're an NFL show. There's no sleep for the weary. Like, we were on last night, or at least I was on. Kyle was on very early yesterday since he's on the West Coast. But we wrapped up late last night. Kansas City was just tremendous and looks like a wrecking ball once again on this season, dismantling my About That Business squad, the Baltimore Ravens. So we like to get into a little bit of a quick weekend recap before we look and turn the page, of course, to hitting into week 4. Where we went right and where we went wrong. I mean, last night, I really thought the Baltimore Ravens would win that football game. They didn't win the football game. They didn't even get the actual total in that game. So it was interesting to go down the line. Very disappointed in my Philadelphia Eagles, but there's a couple other, games out there that I was looking and saying, you know what, this game really didn't seem that odd, or it shouldn't have went this way. Maybe the Lions picking up a victory over the Cardinals. I didn't think it was that bad that Seattle beat the Dallas Cowboys. I was hoping they didn't beat them by more than 5.5 points or 5 points in that game. But everything went about to form. I know you probably would jump in that Panthers-Charger game, but I wasn't overall surprised from the actual turnouts during the week as opposed to just a blowout on Monday Night Football. What were your thoughts on some of the weekend stuff here?
Yeah, some things went wrong. I was really disappointed in the Eagles, especially once it went to overtime. I was like, they've got to get this touchdown right, and they're going to cover, and that didn't work out. I was really happy that Tampa Bay showed up and looked how they were supposed to look against a bad Denver team. We sort of talked about that on Sunday morning, were we overthinking this about the Broncos? So I just said, I'm taking Tom Brady over Jeff Driscoll, and that worked out. I was really impressed with my 49ers. Anytime you have your backup quarterback, your third and fourth string running backs, backup tight end, then your second string tight end gets hurt. They came out, and it's a real testament to that coaching staff in San Francisco to stomp on. I know the Giants aren't world beaters, but stomped on them on the road. So I was really impressed by that. Carolina beating the Chargers. The Chargers just beat themselves in that game. We talked about Carolina before the season. We sort of liked that team more than others did. So that didn't shock me a ton. It was just the Chargers kind of shooting themselves in the foot. And then that damn over not going over 54.5 last night. One missed field goal dropped my record to even 500 on pick six. I know we're going to go over that in a second, but I was a little bummed out by that. And Drew Brees, I think that it's time to start thinking about what's going on with the New Orleans Saints. When you lose a home primetime game, I know it's to Green Bay, but they just didn't look like they had it. Bad fumble by Taysom Hill. I think it's bad coaching. I think you leave your offense on the field, stop screwing around with Taysom Hill down there, sort of change that football game. But I thought it was a good week of football. Last night, I guess, was a little underwhelming because Kansas City just looked so dominant.
No, they really, I mean, you're talking about a Super Bowl favorite now that just said, you know what, and when you're talking from a betting perspective, even from a team perspective, you pick up that win last night. It's defective. You get the tiebreaker now if you're going up against the season, because I still think the Baltimore Ravens still the class of the AFC North. But then again, we're worried about winning Super Bowls, and now you're going to have to play on the road. And who knows where the fans will be, because you're talking January. Maybe you have a full house in Kansas City. That is a major advantage when now you're playing in front of teams, because maybe you can look at Kansas City saying, hey, they got lucky. They didn't play in front of any Rams or Ravens fans and won. Then you can have that rematch later, and let's just say the AFC title game. 70,000 fans at Arrowhead. But let's flip it over to this week. And before we do that, talk a little bit about the pick six. I had a very good first 2 weeks, stumbled last week, had some close calls. I really thought the Eagles would be able to get it done. They ended up with a tie. I got them at 4. Didn't matter at all. And when you go to overtime, you're hoping the Eagles get the ball first, because hopefully they would drive down and score a touchdown. Once the Cincinnati Bengals got the ball first and they stopped them, you figure the touchdown's probably not coming at this point, since a field goal would win the game. Tampa Bay over 42.5. I mean, how much more points do I need out of Tampa Bay in that game? And I can't end up, touching stuff like that or getting over those numbers. But then you take a look at Dallas +5. Tough beat at the end of the game for me in that one. Baltimore 3.5 was a miss. Had a nice win on Carolina 6.5. And Buffalo, which I was checking off that early, going, hey, Kyle, that's an easy, clean win. I'm saying, oh, my God, what just happened in this game? But they ended up winning at the end of the football game, so all worked out.
Yeah, I ended up going 3-3, and my 3 losses were all the Titans win by 1. I had them at 2.5. The over last night, I had over 54.5. It goes to 54. And then, of course, your Eagles, but it was all saved by the bankers going well, New England and Pittsburgh covering there. So 3-3, I think I'm 10-7-1 now through the first 3 weeks. And my last 5 losses have all been these late, narrow. So if we just get a little bit of luck, you could be looking at 13-4, 12-5. So not overly disappointed. 3-3 is never what I'm looking for, but it wasn't a complete disaster, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, won a little bit of money over the weekend, but hey, we try to get these Pick Six contests, try to be in it at the end. We'll see what happens as we keep going. If you guys haven't signed up for the Pick Six contest, you could still get in. Might not be able to win that full season trophy, but you could still win some cash, cold hard cash, each and every week. If you haven't done so yet, there's a link down there, sbrpicks.com/NFL. Click that link, get through. But also, if you miss any of the shows that we have, if you say, hey, I missed the Monday night party, I missed the Sunday show, I missed the Tuesday show, click that link. It'll be right on there, as well as a lot of good write-ups by a lot of good people right here at sportsbookreview.com. 95 people currently watching the show right now. Thank you for spending your playoff afternoon baseball day with us, talking a little bit of NFL football. And I love the NFL because it is the quick turnaround. Like, we were just on air hours ago talking about the game last night, and here we go spinning our wheels trying to get after it in week 4. Got about a half hour to spend. Let's get after some of these games. And again, we set the tables on Tuesday, sharpen the pencils on Thursday, and get after it on Sunday. These are the games I like because you had that little brainstorm session. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. And I don't really know about brainstorm, maybe brain cramping in this game. -2.5 opens up on the road here. Denver now a -1. Both of these teams really injured. But if I'm looking at this, Denver roughed up. Rypien's going to get the start on the road. Sam Darnold, to me, is the better quarterback. Doesn't have very many weapons. Maybe gets Mekhi Becton back as his left tackle. I got to tell you, I'm coming around to the New York Jets on Thursday night, because some of the games that we've seen on Thursday night, limited travel, like 2 teams from Ohio, 2 teams from Florida. But now you got a team in Denver that's got to fly to the East Coast and play the Jets. So finally one of those, hey, we're beat up, injured, and yet we got to travel, and then here we go, we got to play. I'm going to go with the Jets. It's crazy. I'm going to go with the Jets as a pick 'em.
I think it's great. Well, and if you look, you're fine to look. Even Bet Online has it +3. So I'm shopping this one around because you're seeing a lot of different numbers. You're seeing a pick 'em at Bookmaker +1 over at WagerWeb where Larry's at +3. So there's a lot of variance here. This is one where I'm shopping. I think, oh God, this one, I hate picking this game, but I guess right now I'm leaning the Jets. Like Brett Rippon, I know they brought him in that game. How prepared is he going to be on a short week going on the road?
Boys, you got a good look at him out at Boise, man. That's your squad out there.
Yeah. The Boise, Idaho squad. I love Twin Falls, Idaho too. Beautiful out there. The waterfalls are absolutely amazing. But yeah, I think you got to lean the Jets. If you just look at the quarterbacks, it's a man, yeah. Right now, the early picks, the Jets. But I'll just tell you right now, none of my personal money will be on any of that. But if I'm making a pick, it's
hopefully we'll get some more information by the Thursday show. We can come on and talk a little bit better about it. But it's a tough one on the eyes. But again, it is NFL football. We're going to watch. Most people will bet on it, and we are analysts, so we are going to certainly go over. Let's get to the Sunday card here: 251, 252, Indianapolis and Chicago. Phillip Rivers and not Maserati Mitch here. Nick Foles, who was inserted, and I got to tell you, the two games I bet, I bet a lot of Bears games in my life, but I remember when Mitchell Trubisky got hurt. I want to say it might have been last year with the shoulder injury, and backup quarterback came in the game, and it was almost like you get a cheer, like, oh my goodness, now we're actually going to get better because our starting quarterback left. And on Sunday, I had a team total with the Bears over 21.5. Trubisky actually got him to 10 points in the first half due to one really long run, and then you saw one of those, Pee-wee football interceptions by Trubisky, and Matt Nagy's like, dude, you're out. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. Nick Foles comes in, and it might have been the greatest show on turf because he throws touchdown passes. 2 touchdown passes get called back. I think 4 to 5 touchdown passes total just in the second half alone. They blow Atlanta out of the water in the second half. They cover the team total, and I look at the Chicago Bears now and go, you know what? This is a bettable team. They lose Tariq Cohen to a knee injury, which isn't an optimum scenario. But now all I talked about are preseason shows, Kyle, that we went over. And I just said to myself, put Nick Foles in. He's markedly better than Mitchell Trubisky. And it's not about football IQ. It's not about who's the better athlete. It's about, hey, look, my guy is 6 yards to the left of me. Let me throw it to him, and he'll catch it, turn around, and maybe pick up a first down when Mitch would airmail it into the seats. It's simple football, and Nick Foles can do that. Chicago's now a bettable team, but I got to say early in the week, I'm trying to find a way to take those Colts in this game. I am.
Yeah, Chicago's got to be the worst 3-0 team in the league, right? I mean, that's just crazy. It's just pure craziness that they are, and it's kind of surprising to see a quarterback benched. They're not losing horribly, and they just brought him back, a couple weeks earlier against the Lions, and they benched him. But I'm with you. I think it makes Chicago a whole lot better. And it might be good. Like, Tariq Cohen's a nice little weapon for them on offense, but sometimes they underutilize David Montgomery a little bit, and I think that's going to give them some more balance. Makes Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller markedly better. And the Colts are another team. They look great against the Jets, of course. They looked terrible against Jacksonville week 1. This one's tough for me. I think right now I'm going to take the points for the home underdog. I might be leaning Chicago early in the week.
No, and I think it goes in that direction. If you're looking just for, they should get a jump start because Foles is the quarterback now. You're not worried about Mitch. You get Foles for a full 4 quarters. But I finally think we're settling in now to what the Indianapolis Colts were, what we thought they would be, as Herm Edwards would say, coming into the season before that awful loss to Jacksonville, turning it on defense. Tariq Cohen is a injury there, but Allen Robinson, as you always talk about DFS, he's going to be a weapon now because the one thing Nick Foles does better than most quarterbacks, he will give them a chance. That jump ball one-on-one, he throws a pillow, and if you ever played football and think of a quarterback throwing a pillow, it's very soft. It's easy to catch. It's in the right spot. Interesting game moving forward. Keep my eye on 253, 254. New Orleans and Drew Brees going on the road after 2 straight losses. Took a loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, came home, took a loss to the Green Bay Packers. Now you head on the road, and the Detroit team that I think surprised a lot of people, Kyle, going out west and picking up a victory over that hot Arizona Cardinals team, played a little bit of defense, got healthy at wide receiver. I didn't see any major injuries in that game, but again, we don't get practice reports and real injury reports until about Wednesday or Thursday during the week. I got to tell you, it's 4.5, 5 points. I'm leaning on getting right now Detroit Lions at home at this point. I'm leaning that way because I'm not a big Drew Brees guy. I'm just not.
Here come the Jets again. They just cannot help themselves. While we're trying to talk football, they wait all day long, and then they start flying over. This is another game where we kind of talked about this with Detroit and Arizona, and there was just some mental mistakes by Kyler Murray trying to force the ball in a few times. 3 interceptions is probably not something you see him do going forward. But again, I think this is a game that New Orleans wins, but I don't know that they win by more than a field goal because we talked about it. Matthew Stafford is a terrific, not just comeback quarterback, but fourth quarter comeback. Kenny Galladay had his first game back. It looked like everything went smoothly there. So this is another game where I'm looking at the home team laying the points or getting the points. I'm gonna lean right now Detroit +4, even though my heart is telling me that the Saints are going to win this game and Drew Brees bounces back.
Yeah, Pie Guy, the chat box. Galladay is a huge difference maker. He really is, because once you get those three outlets at wide receiver, that makes life a lot easier for your quarterback and certainly can open up the running game. They did get their team total over the weekend against the Arizona Cardinals. We'll see. And again, probably in line to do it. But and these numbers are astronomical. Like we just had Larry on, like 54. Like I'm looking at this game, and before I look at the total, I'm like, what are we looking at here? 46.5, 47? No, 54. Like there's no more bargain anymore with taking some of these totals because they're everything has to go right. Like you looked at the game last night and how Mahomes was on fire, and you're like, oh, this game's going to go over easily. Second quarter took off, and it just come to a halt. All you need is like a 6-minute stretch where nobody scores, and like I can't get my 54. So you really have to reevaluate what your advantage might be.
You think it's the lack of penalties without the fans in the stands? We're seeing less holding, less false starts, sort of less penalties is meaning more. We're seeing the totals up for sure the first few weeks of the season. Maybe it's just the lack of penalties. It's making the offenses more efficient. But yeah, I'm not touching that total. That's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
No, and I think you bring up a valid point because penalties being down, yes, that's going to make a difference. But we talked on this point where sometimes, like I always wait, like my betting philosophy is wait 2 weeks on a normal season just to see what happens. But if there's no fans in the stands, I keep bringing up the point, both offenses play in silence. And if you ever played, I guess, I don't know, most people haven't played football where the crowd's really going to impact you that much. But even in high school, if the band's just jamming in your ear, like you can't hear, you can't make the play call at the line of scrimmage. That is a massive advantage where, again, I talk about like saying the quarterback wants to change the play. The play clock is at 5. He doesn't have to scream and yell 4 times to the right. Oh my God, I have 1 second. Let me hike. And the guys on the right side don't know the actual snap count and you get beat for a sack. Now you can whisper, hey guys, check 2. Check 2. And everybody in the stadium hears it. So it is a major advantage and something to keep an eye on. Once you get fans maybe back in the stands, let's see if that changes. Arizona and Carolina, bad loss last week for Arizona, but hey, I mean, it is what it is on that. You take a look at Carolina going on the road, and I liked Carolina, took Carolina with the 6.5, just on the premise, look, you don't make a lot of money betting on rookie quarterbacks, specifically rookie quarterbacks that got to win by a touchdown just to cover for you. And that prognosis came true last week, but now you come on the road, Arizona fast-paced offense. Carolina, still don't believe a lot in their defense, but I do like Carolina's offense. They're going to throw the football around. They got 4 decent wide receivers, and Teddy Bridgewater's playing good football. Matt Rule's a good coach. But then again, you look, 51s now up to 52s, -3. Are we really trusting Arizona now going on the road? Or is it, hey, Carolina can put up an honest effort at home, I'll take them. I still believe in Arizona, and I still think Arizona can get that victory. So if the 3s are going to show up across the board, I lean towards Arizona. 3.5s might be enough to push me off. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I think maybe even 3.5 I can get on board with. It's the 4 that scares me. Like this feels like it's sort of this like 28-24 type of game. I think Arizona bounces back. Again, it was just bad mistakes by Kyler Murray. That's a game they should have won. They were moving the ball just fine. He made some beautiful throws. They were without Christian Kirk, who may be out again this week. I haven't double-checked that yet, so maybe someone in the chat knows that. But I like that Arizona offense, and that Carolina defense is absolutely abysmal. At just the bottom. The Carolina defense can't stop anybody. Them, Atlanta, the Jets. I guess we can't really say that about Cincinnati anymore. I guess they're better than those defenses. I don't know if your Eagles made them look better. I'm not trying to bash them too much on your birthday, but my goodness. I'm leaning Arizona right now. I think they bounce back. I think they understand it's a must-win. Cliff Kingsbury, with all that talent and all that scheming, I don't think you see 3 interceptions again from Kyler Murray, and Arizona goes out there and wins the game and covers.
257, 258, Jacksonville and the Cincinnati Bengals, Minshew versus Burrow. And, getting a live up-close look at Joe Burrow, talent, but still a rookie, still winless on the season, which is what you anticipate out of a team with not a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. But they do have a lot of talent at wide receiver and at running back. If Joe Burrow can stay up, they can move the football. But I have to tell you, The Eagles offense in that football game, starting the game, you say, okay, they're going to be able to move the football against a Cincinnati team. Losing Dallas Goedert, losing Deshaun Jackson like the first play of the game. And you saw how inept the Eagles offense was moving down the field. And I think maybe get lulled to sleep because right now on paper heading into this game, Jacksonville looks like the best offensive team in the world compared to the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to have some lively running backs. You're going to have a quarterback that can get away from the pass rush, an actual average offensive line with the Eagles offensive line with Jason Peters now right tackle or left tackle getting abused daily. You have real wide receivers on Jacksonville. We have none on the Philadelphia Eagles. So when I look at this game and I see Joe Burrow, again, a rookie favored, I'm automatically going to fade him. I like Jacksonville early in the week here.
Yeah, I mean, the real concern is can that Jacksonville defense stop anybody? Because it just looked like Miami did absolutely anything they wanted to do. And we kept hoping for Jacksonville to sort of make a splash and get us to that over and maybe even – and they just couldn't get there because their defense couldn't stop anyone. I liked the opening total of this at 46.5. I'd have been inclined to take the over on that. Now we're seeing it, 48.5, 49.5, so it's getting a little dicey.
Run away.
I do think these are two vulnerable defenses, and I do think Jacksonville likes to throw the football, and Joe Burrow seems to have the ball in his hands a ton, and I like what I see out of him. Right now, I think I'm with you. I would lean Jacksonville. I don't feel great about it. The total still being under 50, I'm going to have to really talk myself into that again. Two bad defenses. I think you see a lot of possessions here. I'm leaning Jacksonville laying the points. I'm with you. I'm not sure that I like a rookie quarterback being the favorite, even though these teams are pretty equal. Jacksonville coming off 10 days rest after that Thursday night letdown against Miami. I think I'm leaning Jacksonville right here, but I'm going to have to study up on that. My mind could change on this by Thursday.
Yeah, it's just hard. Like if you're taking rookie quarterbacks in the NFL to win and cover, you're going to lose a lot of money in the long process. I just think Jacksonville overall is a better football team than Cincinnati at this point. How crazy is that to actually sound? 259, 260, Cleveland and Dallas, Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott. Both offenses are going to be able to move the football, but it comes down to me. If I'm looking at this game and I say, you know what, can one team get me a stop? I actually trust the Cleveland defense much more than the Dallas defense. So it brings me right to the game opening up at 4.5, staying at 4.5 across the board. Another ridiculous total at 55. I do think as long as you, and sometimes you have to preface this by saying, as long as Mayfield doesn't interrupt the game himself, they should be able to use their two-headed monster in the backfield and do whatever they want on offense versus the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a one-possession game. So, again, if I think it's one possession and coming down to the wire, I'm going to take the points early in the week here with the Cleveland Browns against Dallas.
I think I'm going to disagree with you on this one simply because I worry about this big stage sort of setting in Dallas for Baker Mayfield. And Dallas is the one stadium that's actually allowing more fans than anyone else. What are they allowing, 20,000 fans or so in the stands? For their games. Dallas needs to win this football game. Now, luckily for them, they play in the NFC League. So, I mean, it looks like even now 7 wins might win that division, right? Like Washington and the Giants and the Eagles may not even get the 7. So I probably take some pressure off of Dallas, but I like this offense next week. I do, and I'm worried about Cleveland's secondary. They just haven't looked the same. I know they're just starting to get healthy. But I like Dallas. I like Dallas by a touchdown in this game. So right now I'm leaning Dallas -4, 4.5 on most books.
Yeah, it's an offensive game, and it might be who actually gets the ball last. Outside of the Browns losing opening day, I thought they looked decent over their past 2 games, and I'll roll with the Browns because I just see Dallas's defense, and they just. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's Russ, maybe it's Atlanta's offense, but they did whatever they wanted to, whenever they wanted to against that defense. We'll see if Baker Mayfield can hold up. Little COVID action coming up here, 1 o'clock game on Sunday, 261, 262. Yeah. Nobody tested positive yet for Minnesota, but they're on watch alert here, contact tracing and whatnot. Houston, obviously Deshaun Watson to get back in. They had the lead at the half, but fell apart in the second half on offense. Bill O'Brien making some really good adjustments in the locker room, obviously. Houston opens up as a favorite, 4, 4.5, some 3.5s across the board, but some of the books have actually taken this line down, waiting to see who's going to be in, who's going to be out, because you don't want to be left holding the bag. And if there's a public service announcement that I try to keep reiterating this season is don't think like, hey, I'm going to jump the line early in the week and it all goes to mush. I mean, hey, on a regular season, yes, certainly do that. But it's just too risky in this atmosphere with how many people are injured, number one, and the whole COVID now that's going to start going around the league. Sit back, wait, read the reports. Thursday or Friday to shore everything up. You know who basically is going to be in or out, and probably no COVID flare-ups on the weekend. But firing early in the week, Mondays and Tuesdays, or on opening lines could be a recipe for disaster this year. But looking at this game overall, I don't trust Houston. They should be able to score. I thought Minnesota, which probably should have won the game outside of Gostkowski nailing a monster field goal to beat them. They did end up covering the spread, but now they go on the road. I think that Minnesota offense is going to be decent. And if I think everybody's in for COVID, waiting later in the week, depending on their practice schedule, I think Minnesota should be able to put up some points. I'll lean towards a Minnesota team total, but I really don't want to get into bed yet with Houston. But this is finally a game where Houston can take a deep breath and exhale and be like, dude, it's finally not one of the upper echelon, nasty offensive teams in the league. You should be able to score against them too. So I'll lean towards the over in this one as well.
Yep, I like the over, even though it's 54.5, that magical number. I've gotten lucky with it once, and I've gotten unlucky with it once. So, hey, 1-1. I actually like Houston in this game, and for a couple of reasons. But both these defenses are bad. I was actually really encouraged by how Houston's offense looked against that Pittsburgh defense on the road. That was a sweat for me. I was like, oh, crap. One of my locks this week's going to lose because Houston came out on fire. That Minnesota defense is absolutely terrible. And so it's definitely a defense that's worse than Houston's. And you're right, they're finally at home. It's a plus matchup. When you look at that Vikings offense, look, the Houston defense is no good either, and they looked pretty good against Tennessee. I think we're starting to realize that Tennessee may not be as great of a defense as we thought they were going to be. They looked good week one against Denver. Now we're finding out, this Denver defense, no matter what, was going to be terrible anyways. Or Denver offense, is going to be terrible anyways. So I like Houston, especially at the 3.5s. Most books, we kind of talked about this with Larry a little bit, will most likely either give you your money back or give you the option to keep that money on the game when it's replayed or something like that. But I'm with you.
That's rare. That's an odd angle, because imagine holding that there and you say, all right, well, I have the -4 for Houston. They push it back, 6 weeks, and Kirk Cousins is out, Dalvin Cook is out. You're like, wait a second, I want to get the 8.5 in this game. That's wild if they give you that option. though. Go ahead.
It is wild, and it's something I'm not a big fan of. But you see books like Bet Online and Bookmaker. Sure. Like I would be saying, just give me the money back right now. So it is risky, and it's one, we don't want to spend too much time on it. If everything's just in a vacuum and plays normal, I'll take Houston. Minnesota's not going to be able to practice all week long. Yeah. Houston will. So, well, as it looks right now, we don't know. Things could change, and it's a very fluid situation that neither of us have ever seen in the history of looking at sports, right? So right now I'd lean Houston, but do not put, for me, it's something you got to wait and see. Wait till Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday, and find out if this game's actually going to be played on time.
Yeah, or who's even practicing, or are they allowed in their facilities? Sure. I was seeing some early numbers here, like in Tennessee can't get in their facility till Saturday, which is kind of wild when you actually think about it. We'll keep moving here. Down in South Beach, 263, 264. Russell Wilson, let Russ cook. Nobody can stop him. Everybody's wide open. Nobody can tackle Russ. It's amazing when you look. Now, Chris Carson's going to miss this football game down with the Miami Dolphins, but good thing for the Seahawks, they have 75 running backs on their team, so they certainly shouldn't miss a beat in this one. Line opened up at 6.5, but has not moved, despite about 8 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Seattle Seahawks. We know Ryan Fitzpatrick, one of the kings of the cover, as I like to say, because if he's down double digits, 10 points late in the game, he's going to be able to move that football team down. And we do know the Seattle Seahawks already struggling on defense this year, now banged up even more in the secondary. I see points in this game, but you're not getting it break. It's 54. But when you look at the weather, too, how's that going to play into it? Not because it's going to be sunny. 90 degrees and humidity is anticipated for Sunday afternoon. We'll see how that plays into it. But, hey, I'm really not looking at going up against Russ. I mean, it just doesn't matter. It's everything is in play. Touchdowns on any drive, 30 seconds left. They can score from anywhere. 4th and 3 from midfield, no problem. 3rd and 3, we need a field goal. Why don't we just go for the touchdown? Russ is cooking, man, and I don't know if I want to get in front of him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but that's another thing to consider. It's always a close game with Russell Wilson, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is the king of the backdoor cover. Joe Burrow's sort of done that to me this year. I'm 0-2 now betting against Joe Burrow with these late covers against Cleveland week 2, and then last week, obviously, tying your Eagles. This won't shock me if it's another 35-31 game and Seattle's up by 11 with 4 minutes to go and Ryan Fitzpatrick throws a touchdown with a minute and a half left. So right now, I think I'm going to lean Miami to cover the points. You mentioned the Chris Carson injury. So for you fantasy football players, maybe a Carlos Hyde, Travis Homer could be a sneaky waiver wire pickup for this week. Going to see a lot more Travis Homer. Right now, I'm leaning Miami to cover. If I'm going to take Seattle, I'm going to buy some points and get this thing down to like 3.5 or something.
Yeah, take a look. Keep moving the next game. We'll stay in Florida, actually. 85 degrees, overcast weather in Tampa Bay. And that's going to be the rookie coming to the East Coast with the Chargers. Going up against Tom Brady, real successful game for overall. Didn't have to do much in the second half. 28-10, easy victory. You know, Denver's so banged up, benching another quarterback. Now you look at this line, it's 7s and 7.5. So at least if you're going to bet on a rookie quarterback, last week you were expecting the Chargers to win by 7 points to cover your line. Now they're going to be getting 7 points plus in this game. Also keep in mind, Chris Godwin probably going to miss this game, so down a weapon. You know, Brady is Brady. He's going to make enough plays to win. If the defense continues to play at a really good level for Tampa Bay, they're going to be a tough out because they have a lot of weapons on offense and just moving down the football field and getting those chances. I mean, hell, they're blocking punts. They're scoring in the red zone. You can accommodate for some things that Tom Brady can't do from maybe what he could do 5 or 6 years ago. But again, down a guy, I can't talk myself into yet taking the Chargers. Do I think they'll be able to get a good pass rush even though a couple of their frontline guys are down? Yes. Also taking a look at last week, you know, heading into that football game where they're favored, they're playing against a team that you should beat. They didn't beat them. I can't trust a rookie quarterback going on the road. So if I'm looking at this game overall, I think Tampa Bay is going to control the tempo, but I do think that line is a little bit short at 44. But you saw last week's subpar play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only yielded 10 points with Jeff Driscoll. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Herbert, so it's going to be tough to lean that side. Early in the week, maybe lean towards an over in this one, but that 7-point line's kind of throwing me off here earlier.
Yeah, I actually love the over. I'm seeing 43.5 now, basically across the boards. 24-20, 27-24 makes a whole lot of sense. Look, Joe Burrow's going to throw the football, and we saw they were just shooting themselves in the foot, and they almost came back and won that game. Austin Eckler, that little hook and ladder type play they tried with Keenan Allen to Eckler at the end of that game. Mm-hmm. If Eckler handles that pitch, the Chargers win that game. I actually like the Chargers offense, and you're going to see more passes because Tampa Bay is very, very tough against the run. So you're going to see a lot more passes by the Chargers. I think the over 43.5 makes a lot of sense. And I'm just not here to take the Patriots by more than a touchdown against a good defense. I know they did it against Denver and just an abysmal offense and an injured defense. I think the Chargers are a whole different animal here. I like especially these 7.5s. I don't have a problem locking in that plus 7.5 for the Chargers, and I actually like the over in the game. Like a 27-24, 27-21 type game makes a lot of sense to me in this one.
267, 268. Won't spend a lot of time on this one because, quite frankly, I don't know if they're playing. But the NFL seems to be taking that proactive approach. Like, look, these guys are going to get infected. They don't show any symptoms. It's no big deal. They can play. And as long as we don't have massive testing positive, we're going forward. We're Major League Baseball. If a clubhouse attendant gets the sniffles, you got to shut the team down for 2 weeks. Can't play any baseball. So at least the NFL is on the right side of this by saying, all right, a couple guys tested positive. We got 60 guys. Let's go ahead and play some football. We're all healthy and able bodies. But looking at this game overall, you know, real quick, because again, if it doesn't play, there's no reason to spend a lot of time on it. Tennessee is 3-0, and I like Tennessee, but they are escaping by the skin of their teeth. And now you're going to take a step up here and play one of the elite defenses, and also with an offense that's moving the football. I got to say, I agree, because I saw Tennessee opened up early in the week, you know, yesterday or so, as a short favorite. Now you're seeing Pittsburgh as the favorite. Most lines books do have them down now, but I think Pittsburgh is the better pedigree team here, and we're not stacking fans in Tennessee. So I actually lean Pittsburgh here early in the week.
Yeah, me too. It feels pretty easy for me too now that Tennessee can't even go into their building or practice all week, and now you got to prepare for one of the best defenses in the league. And this Tennessee defense has not been very good. I mean, think about how bad the Vikings offense looked the first 2 weeks of the season. Then they come out and put up, 31 points against this defense, or 30 points against the defense. Jacksonville put up a ton of points and covered. So, I mean, the only time the defense looked good was against Drew Lock and the Cortland Sutton-less Broncos week 1, and we found out that offense is no good either. Yeah. So I like Pittsburgh a lot. I think Pittsburgh moves to 4-0. It's not a huge travel situation, but again, we need to make sure this game could very well be moved to Monday night. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So we could end up with a doubleheader on Monday night. It's one of the things the NFL talked about. Adam Schefter reported that earlier. I haven't had a chance to look at Twitter while we've been on here to see if there's any new reports. But as long as this game plays in a vacuum, I think Pittsburgh's the better team. They're going to have the advantage of practicing all week and preparing. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. And 1.5 right now. I think you see this get bigger and bigger as the week goes on.
Yeah, COVID transactions just hit the wire here. Long snapper Bo Brinkley for the Titans and also nose tackle Daquan Jones are now on the COVID-19 list. So we'll see if anybody else tests positive. But those two have been added to the list. We'll see if that game does play on Sunday. Is playing, but I know they're also talking about maybe if they have to push it back one day, they'll play on Monday night. So maybe get a Monday night doubleheader, which I'm sure we won't mind. 269, 270. Keep moving here. We're going to hit the gas pedal a little bit between Lamar Jackson and the Washington football team and Dwayne Haskins. If you guys heard me, it's going to be the same announcement every single week. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, they were embarrassed on Monday Night Football. You're going up against Dwayne Haskins, who is not an NFL quarterback any way, shape, or form, but also can't fault him all that much because he has nothing. He has zero. He has zero to work with on his offensive sets. One decent wide receiver and absolutely nothing else. Now you're going to get the wrath of the Baltimore Ravens. It's 13. If I try to take a look here at some first half numbers that you're getting in, Pinnacle Offshore, which I'm not going to be able to get into, -6.5, -113. But if you can get the Baltimore Ravens at 6.5 or less in the first half, that's the way to go. Same way last week. We looked at the Cleveland Browns. And again, the Cleveland Browns aren't everything in the, cup or kitchen sink. But it's clear that when you have a team that is just ill-equipped to win with the Washington Redskins, just get in and get out. Don't worry about the second half. Don't worry about teams not caring about it. I think Baltimore comes in on a mission and blows the doors off Washington because they can't answer.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. And this isn't one of these road travel games. What are they, 30 miles apart or something like that over there? Exactly. I mean, they're super close, and Baltimore's going to be pissed. Right. They did. Let's face it. They got embarrassed last night. Lamar Jackson looked absolutely terrible. He couldn't throw the ball. And what did he have? Under 100 yards going into the fourth quarter, maybe barely squeaked over that mark. I can't even remember. That usually happens by the fourth quarter on those Monday night shows. The bottles get low and the memory gets even lower. But I think I don't love playing, obviously, road favorites by double digits. We kind of talked about that with the Colts and the Jets. Just double-digit spreads, period, not in love with. But I think this is one you can feel pretty good about. I think Baltimore beats the brakes off of Washington next week.
Giants and the Rams, maybe another break beating here, and also an identical line, 13s across the board. Some 12s and a halves are showing up between the New York Football Giants and the Los Angeles Rams. Opened up at 48.5, now drops to 47.5, and that's just a direct shot at the Giants and their offense, or what offense they might even have. The Rams took a tough loss, a hard-fought loss, coming all the way back, and then got a little bit drive by the refs there at the end of the game. I don't believe that was a pass interference, but for my pocket, it was a great pass interference because the Buffalo Bills ended up covering that line. But taking a look at the game, it's another one that I look at with that Washington football team. The Giants are going out west. I think the Rams will have a great scripted play. There's going to be no fans in there, so Sean McVay can talk to his quarterback till his headset falls off. And I think they'll be up by a touchdown at the half. I don't know if, Joe Judge has these guys running laps this week or doing extra push-ups to get ready for it, or, have to carry the shoulder pads for the rookies. I don't know what type of hazing they're doing or any nonsense, but they certainly don't match up against the Rams in this one. Looking to try to get in and out. If I can get cheaper than a touchdown the first half, I'll take the Rams up a touchdown here against the New York Giants.
Yep, again, this is where I like, when you see those double-digit spreads you touched on at the last game, I like taking those first half totals. It's just a safer way because you just never know, especially like a team like Baltimore going back to the last game. They'll take Lamar Jackson out in the fourth quarter if they're up by 2 touchdowns. You probably won't see that with the Rams. And we saw, you very well may see Joe Judge taking his players to their grandparents' nursing homes and making the grandparents do push-ups this week. He's that kind of guy. The Giants got stomped at home by the practice squad of the 49ers. Now they're supposed to take on an angry Rams team, finally back at home. Really, really showed themselves well. They were losing bad early in that game and showed a lot of heart in coming back. I thought Darrell Henderson, filling in for the injured Cam Akers, looked really good, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of him. He might sort of settle into that starting running back for the Rams. I like the Rams a lot. That Giants defense can't stop anybody. If you can't stop Nick Mullins and Brandon Ayuk, you're not stopping Jared Goff, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Tyler Higbee, the entire plethora of offensive weapons there. So I love the first half play. I think that's the way to go. But, if I had the proverbial gun to my head, I'd still take the minus 13 right now, even though I don't love doing that.
Yeah, because you're also talking about you had look, you saw I don't want to say defeat is the wrong word, but a 49ers team going in there half staff, so to speak, and worried about the turf, but you have an elite play caller and an elite set of skills that you can use. They did that last week. Now you're getting maybe the second best or third best play caller in the NFL with Sean McVay, that's going to look at that tape last week, lick his chops, and tell his quarterback exactly what the coverage is doing right before they snap the football. So we'll see what happens there, but doesn't look good for the New York Giants. But again, I did a lot of off-season videos about the Giants and their coach. Once I saw the press conference with Joe Judge, I thought I was watching the guy just got hired to coach a middle school football team. I really did. And it's playing out exactly like that, where they're going to end up throwing him right out of New York, but he'll get a big paycheck. We'll go back to New England, and we'll never hear from him again. Keep it going here. 273, 274, New England and Kansas City. Cam Newton and Patrick Mahomes riding that high 7-point line. Bill Belichick. Now he's got a chance to try to slow down Kansas City. We'll see if he can do that. I don't know if he can keep up. I mean, I just watched. I know you have a better defensive effort, you would hope, from New England in this game. But if Patrick Mahomes stands on his back leg and can throw 50 yards down the field strikes, I don't know how you defend it. It's hard to go against Mahomes, but I'm going to be interested to see where that line ends up, because it's one of those. If I'm getting 7.5, I might be pushed in that New England direction here.
Yeah, that's what I literally took the words out of my mouth. I'm waiting for that to go to 7.5. I still think Kansas City wins. They're the better football team, and I'm not sure that New England offense is explosive enough to hang with that Kansas City offense. That being said, that New England secondary is probably the best secondary in the league, but they may have faced the second best secondary last night, and it didn't seem to bother them at all. It's nerve-wracking. The Patriots, Cam Newton, et cetera, they're going to basically have the same sort of game plan that Baltimore had last night. Cam Newton's going to be running with it. They want to run the football. They don't have a ton of wide receivers. 7.5, I like New England. If it's anything, a touchdown or below, I like Kansas City at home.
Buffalo and Las Vegas. Jared Allen going to go out west now and take on the Las Vegas Raiders, who took their first loss of the season going up against New England. Get another really tough test this weekend. 6 out of 10 tickets coming in on Buffalo. That line opens up at 3, and there's a 2.5 with a lot of juice at Pinnacle, but that line's still sticking at 3s across the board. It maybe be a different atmosphere if, the Vegas was sold out in that dome, but it's not. Opened up at 49.5, goes to 51.5. I do agree with that, because Buffalo looks like they can score on anybody at any time. And the one thing that you like about Derek Carr, boom or bust type guy also, he can move the football, but also make those disastrous plays that we need for the over. I actually lean towards the over in this game. I do like Buffalo. I would be hard-pressed to see the Raiders win this game, because I think Buffalo's got it going right now, Kyle.
Yeah, this feels like an early lock for me. One of the games where I'm like, ooh, this one feels good, and I'm just going to sit back, watch, and enjoy. It's going to look a lot like that game looked against New England, but with a better quarterback. Josh Allen can sling it with the best of them. He's absolutely on fire. You'd put him in the top 5 right now in MVP voting, I think, right there with Russ and Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. These guys, I really, really like Buffalo this week. I think they beat the brakes off of Vegas. Vegas has no answers for them offensively or defensively. Give me the Buffalo Bills.
Tuesday, Sunday Night Football between the Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers, and I agree with the line movement. Opens up at 6, now sitting at 7. It's not really about who's healthy or who's not healthy for San Francisco. It's about the Philadelphia Eagles and their offense. It's going to be Carson Wentz, a porous offensive line, 1 pass-catching tight end, a decent running back, and absolutely 0 at wide receiver. Good luck winning this football game on the road or keeping it within a touchdown. We talked earlier about this. Opened up at 43, now it sits at 45. I think San Francisco is going to be able to do their part on offense. You saw 23 points out of a rookie quarterback last week, and the Philadelphia Eagles really not doing all that great on defense to open up the season as is. San Francisco should be able to hit their team total in this game, but it's not really about that final score, because I think that line might even close above 7. It's just that the Eagles aren't going to be able to move the football against a functioning team, and I think that's going to be the case again on Sunday night. So I'm looking towards that San Francisco team total here.
Yeah, I like the San Francisco team total. The +7, it's a little much. It feels like a bit much. I'd like to know if Deebo Samuel's going to play and see, George Kittle, if he's going to play. Maybe Garoppolo comes back. Right now, it's tough to trust the Eagles. It does feel like a trap. The Niners looked so good with their backups against the Giants, and the Eagles have looked so bad, and they're getting more and more banged up. Obviously, the Dallas Goedert injury is a big one. Right now, you got to lean the 49ers. I don't know. Like, I'm seeing some 7.5s out there. I don't know if I love that. Maybe 6.5. I hope the line shortens up. I'm not sure that it will, but the team total feels good for me for the 49ers. I'm glad you said that because I think that's the right way to go in this game. Maybe even a first half bet.
Yeah, and look, I love the Eagles, but you got to be real. I mean, Cincinnati is a horrendous football club, and they were down a touchdown to them in the fourth quarter. Needed Carson Wentz to, run 15 times on the last drive and dive into the end zone. So they are in a real bad spot with not much coming back to help them. It's not like the Cavalry's here yet, where you're going to get a healthy Deshaun Jackson, healthy Alshon Jeffrey, healthy Dallas Goedert, and say, you know what, now we actually have some weapons we can use. They're not coming back this week, and that's a bad spot for them. Quickly on the Monday Night Football game, which we're going to cover extensively throughout the week, 279, 280, Atlanta and Green Bay, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers. What's not to like about Green Bay so far? And Dan Quinn, I guess maybe the prudent play would be Atlanta first half and then watch them crash and burn in the second half.
Exactly.
Their MO. A 58 over-under. Look, I think there's going to be points in this game, but that's absolutely ridiculous. It's when you see a low total in baseball of like 6, you just say, you know what? I'm just going to take the over because that's ridiculous sounding. 58's unbelievable number. I won't be touching a total or even a team total in this game. 7.5 actually does seem like a little bit much because Atlanta's going to be able to move the football. I'll lean on Atlanta. If I can get 7.5s are showing up, which they are, I might lean Atlanta 7.5 in this game because I think you get Julio back as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm leaning the 7.5. Now, for some reason, this gets to 6.5 or 6, then I'd take Green Bay. But 7.5, I'm taking Atlanta. I know they're bad, but you have a great chance of them jumping out to a big lead and then Green Bay having to come back and I wouldn't say a big lead, but you could see them up, 20-10 at the half or 13. You could see something like that where Green Bay's got to battle back, and they certainly could. So I like the idea of live betting this, letting Atlanta get the lead, get the extra juice on the Packers, and then bet the Packers. That's what I'm looking at right now.
No, hey, I can agree with you. Great. This is what I love about the Tuesday show. Look how quickly the hour went by. Had some great guests today. Me and Kyle had some great football talk, setting the stage for NFL action throughout the week. As you guys know, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll have a great show. Bring Kelsey Kramer on, talk a little bit of Pick Six, which hopefully will speed up through that episode because I did not do very well on my Pick Six picks. But it is about the next week, as we like to say, Kyle, not the previous week. But guys, thanks again for tuning in. 175 people watching live on a Tuesday afternoon.
Happy birthday to Donnie. Tell him
happy birthday to me. I probably got 2 or 3 left to go, so I'm going to really enjoy this one tonight. 69,600 subscribed. Thank you guys for doing it. Thanks for guys for popping into the chat box. We will be back on Thursday getting after it to set you up on our key show with the good graphics, with the hot topics. As you guys know, thanks again for your support. Huge numbers last night on a Monday Night Football show. We're going to have that party again next Monday. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We're sportsbookreview.com. And this was your NFL show for Tuesday. Good luck this week, guys.